Welcome to Healing from Emotional Abuse, the award-winning podcast that sheds light on the journey from victim to survivor. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this empowering and healing adventure. The Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast isn't just another conversation. It's a sanctuary for those who have endured abuse and are determined to reclaim their lives. Through interviews with inspiring survivors, experts, and advocates, we aim to break the silence surrounding abuse and empower our listeners with the knowledge, support, and resources they need to break free from their past. Our mission is to provide a safe space where survivors can share their stories, find solace in knowing they're not alone, and discover the strength within themselves to heal and thrive. Each episode is filled with powerful narratives, practical strategies, and compassionate guidance to help you overcome the lingering effects of abuse and build a brighter future. It brings me immense joy to announce that the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast has been honored with the prestigious Purple Ribbon Award for Outstanding Domestic Violence Podcasts by DomesticShelters.org, recognizing our commitment to raising awareness about abuse and offering hope to survivors worldwide. We have hit top 10% globally and top podcast in 25 countries. This accolade is a testament to the incredible guests who have shared their stories and the tremendous support from our devoted listeners. Thank you so much. Whether you're a survivor seeking healing, a friend or family member wanting to understand and support, or an advocate dedicated to creating a safer world, this podcast is for you. Our conversations delve into topics such as emotional, physical, financial, and psychological abuse, recovery techniques, self-care strategies, legal rights, and much more. Join us as we embark on this transformative journey together. Subscribe to Healing from Emotional Abuse on your favorite podcast platform. And remember, your story matters, and you have the power to break your silence from the chains of abuse. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and this is Healing from Emotional Abuse. Let's reclaim our lives and empower one another. Welcome back to the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and today we are joined with an incredible friend that I met at a mastermind actually in May, we met the first time, right? And then kind of like met in person in June in Vegas. That was super cool. I was really excited to meet you. But one of my incredible friends and colleagues, Tammy Vincent, thank you so much for being here today.
I appreciate it, Marissa. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, of course. I'm happy to have you. So would you mind just telling us about yourself?
No, well, my name is Tammy, as you mentioned, and I am a mother of three grown children, which are home right now. And I live in Florida, and I write, I coach, I speak, I do kind of a little bit of everything. My story kind of unfolded because I am the adult child of two alcoholic parents. So when you mentioned the podcast, I was like, oh, been there, done that. I can probably talk to some people.
Well, I'm sure you're going to help a lot of people. A lot of our listeners here have experienced childhood trauma stemming from dysfunctional homes. So would you mind telling us your story?
No, not at all. So both of my parents were alcoholics. My mother was what I consider a violent, abusive alcoholic, and my father was what they considered a functioning alcoholic. So I know at the end of the day, I'm like, really, what does functioning mean? I mean, it was rough. It was rough growing up. I mean, my mother, they told me when I was in first grade that they were getting divorced, and they didn't even separate till I was a freshman in high school. So there was just it was a house of just total turmoil, chaos, and having one abusive alcoholic in the family did not make things better. So it was pretty crazy. I look back at it now and I can talk and like laugh and joke and stuff, but back then it really wasn't so funny. We had times, little things, my parents were fighting for custody. Back in the 70s, it wasn't so easy for a father to get custody, but obviously that was what would have been best. And I think that's the reason that they stayed together and didn't divorce. So it was this constant battle of, trying to get my dad to hit my mom in front of us so that we would have to testify against her. And a lot of the times, it just, the abuse kind of turned onto the kids just because both of them were in such a bad place.
How did that manifest in you? How did that affect your childhood? Because that's a lot to process as a kid.
As a kid, it was weird because it was just what I knew. I can remember thinking, oh, this isn't right. I mean, my mom would I have some, when we talk about PTSD, and when I went to a therapist, they were like, okay, it's basically complex PTSD, as if you have been in war for 25 years. And I really started to grasp that concept. I mean, my mother would just do crazy stuff like, well, I can tell you how I guess discovered PTSD was my mom, when I was in kindergarten, every day would make me soft-boiled eggs and watch As the World Turns. And I hated soft-boiled eggs. So every day it was like a fight. It was, I can't eat these, Mom. I was 4 or 5 years old, and I would either get hit, locked in a closet, have them stuffed down my face. I mean, who knows what happened. And then literally I was sitting at the table, and this was like 30 years later. I'm sitting at the table with my children and some friends, and the music from As the World Turns came on, and I literally vomited on the table. Just a complete, I don't even know where it came from. And I was like, wow, that's what PTSD is. So, I mean, I look at so many things like that. I mean, my mom, I don't like to talk too much about the gory details, but she was also a drug addict. And I did go live with her at one point after they separated my freshman year. And she would do things like think it was okay to, pimp me out to her drug dealers and just crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Are you comfortable talking about how your mom would basically traffic you? Is that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you mind just kind of expanding on that a little bit?
Well, she was at the throes of just at the bottom. I mean, she was at her rock bottom. And so she was doing a lot of drugs, and she was paying, her boyfriend was her drug dealer. So it was very convenient. She had the free access to the drugs that she needed. And I was spending a lot of time there because it was her boyfriend. And, if he would pass out or she would pass out, or friends would come to the house, it just was, Tammy got to pay the debts for everyone is really what it was about. And, that's when I realized, okay, this is not right. I mean, but I was in Massachusetts. My dad lived in New Jersey. So I didn't really have a way out. I didn't have anywhere to go at that point. I didn't tell anyone. I mean, I just sucked it up. And, there's parts like I honestly don't even remember a lot of the details. I kind of have a tendency to dissociate and kind of step outside of my body. And those are a lot of my memories are almost like watching myself in the situation.
Do you still dissociate? Do you still find yourself in stressful situations, kind of like leaving your body?
It's funny. And I didn't even realize I really did it until I got divorced, and I was talking to my ex-husband, and my son had an accident and put a knife through his hand accidentally. And it was like there were 6 women in the room, and we all did things. And my version of the story is 100% different than his version of the story. And I'm like, no, but I know, I will swear to you on everybody's grave that I know and love that is what happened. And when I talked to my therapist, they said, well, of course, that's what you think happened, because you literally blacked out, and your brain has to fill in that story with something. But I really think it only happens to me when it's trauma with my children. So maybe it's the protective, I wasn't protected, so I'm going to protect them kind of thing. Because the only other couple times that I feel like, okay, my story is much different than the people that were around. And it's always when they were hurt or threatened or scared.
Jeez. This segment of the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast is sponsored by Foundations of Healthy Relationships. If you've ever found yourself wondering, why do I keep ending up in the same kinds of relationships? You're not alone. Foundations of Healthy Relationships is my 6-week guided experience designed to help you recognize unhealthy patterns, build stronger boundaries, communicate with confidence, and learn what healthy relationships actually look and feel like. Because healing isn't about becoming someone new, it's about coming home to yourself. Learn more by joining my exclusive Instagram community. The link is in the show notes. Okay. So how did these experiences impact your relationship? So aside from like, well, including, growing up with alcoholic, abusive mother / parents, being kind of pimped out and having like these dissociations, how did that impact future relationships?
Pretty poorly. I remember the first time I really thought, I just kind of went through life doing what I thought I was supposed to do. And, getting married, having kids, doing the whole thing. And it wasn't until I was 26 years old and I was getting ready to have my first child that all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what unconditional love is. Like, how am I going to love this child? And my husband said to me, you don't love me unconditionally? And I was like, no, I don't even know what that means. Like, there's 1,000 things you could do right now that I would stop loving you. I'm like, loving always came with a price, I was loved if I was good. I was loved if I got straight A's. I was loved if I was, the captain of the gymnastics team. And so I freaked out literally when I was pregnant with my first son. And like, do I even know what that means? And then, 5 years, we got divorced. My first husband and I got divorced after 5 years. And it was when I was pregnant with my first son that I realized, okay, I need help. Like, I am just a total codependent, peaceful pleaser, and I'm going to go through the rest of my life like this. So, it's still, I've been on this healing journey for 25, 30 years, and it's still a struggle. Setting boundaries is still a struggle. I know my kids, they got wrapped up in a lot of the generational trauma just because there's science to it. My DNA has changed because of the trauma, and it's, now I'm at a place, and I think I'm more at peace with the fact that I still always will have a lot of work to do. But I'm at a much, 100% better place than I was. So like, yes, my first husband definitely took the brunt of those relationships, and the relationship. And a lot of boyfriends, girlfriends. It just wasn't, they say that you can't love someone until you can love yourself. And I don't believe that's true. I believe I loved my children before I loved myself, but they weren't getting the true me. They weren't getting the authentic me because I didn't even at that point know who that was.
That's so interesting. So do you and your first ex-husband, do you guys have a good relationship now that you've done all this work? Or not like a good, healthy sexual relationship or romantic relationship, but do you guys have like a friendship based from all this work, or not really?
My ex-husband, we don't really talk, honestly, and he really doesn't even talk to the kids that much. He only sees them a couple times a year. So we're more just kind of separated. But, he says happy birthday every year. It was never hard feelings. There was a lot of stuff that went on. I never tried to pretend I was the perfect wife. I didn't know really, I was what it was. But we get along we've never been angry at each other or anything like that.
Okay. I think that's incredible, being able to even just after all of this trauma, be able to leave a relationship with having really no normal or like healthy relationship to relate to learn from, right? Being able to divorce amicably, and unfortunately you guys don't, have a friendship and he doesn't have a relationship with your kids. That kind of sucks, but that's on him,
Right.
I think that's incredible that you're able to maintain at least a baseline relationship,
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
So you said when we were having breakfast in Vegas, you told us about the DNA and how your DNA changes. Can you just expand on that? Because I think that is so interesting.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of people, they think that like when you're the child of an alcoholic or the child of a drug addict or something, that all of it is conditioned and all of it is, just how you act because of how you feel. But there was actually so much science behind it that will show you that, certain parts of my brain are smaller, depending on what my fight, flight, or fawn response was. It literally physically changes my DNA, and it changes that portion of my brain. So when my children are born, they by default are going to get parts of my DNA. So they might get the smaller hippocampus, or the larger, the parts that have actually been altered because of the trauma. I don't know if I was talking to you about the studies that they do on rats.
I think
Yeah,
so. Like, remind me.
Yeah, so they do studies on rats, and one of them was with like a scent. So they let these rats smell these cherry blossoms, and every time the rats smelled the cherry blossoms, they shocked their feet. And they did it over and over and over again, to the point where, it's like Pavlov and the conditioning of the dogs, to the point where when all they had to do was let the rats smell cherry blossom, and the rats would run into the corner to try to get away from where their feet were going to be shocked. Well, what they found was literally generations later, those baby rats, all they had to do was smell cherry blossom and they would run. So they never even experienced the trauma of being zapped from the cherry blossom. It was just in the mother rat's brain. So you can see, like, that's science. Like, that can't happen accidentally. Those rats didn't tell their grandchildren, hey, don't smell cherry blossom, it's going to hurt, So, when you think about it like that, and you think that's rats, and our brains are much more, I can only imagine how much more complex they are, and how something like that, they study, and it goes down generations and generations.
That's so crazy to me. It makes sense, right? Generational trauma truly does get passed. But being able to see it like that is just so telling about how much this stuff actually does impact us. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
When you started to kind of realize the impact that these experiences had on you, after you started after 26, what were some tools, or what was a tool that really helped you with healing?
It's funny, because I wish that they had had the internet when I was 26 years old. That was a thing that it just wasn't there. I didn't have a lot of money, so therapy really wasn't in the works right at that time. I did attend Al-Anon meetings, which are for people that are coping with families of addiction. And I also started to go to ACOA meetings, which are adult children of alcoholic meetings. And it was just the camaraderie. I think it was more, to begin with, it was just oh my gosh, you're not alone. There are millions of us out there, so it started to break that, I have to curl up in this little ball and just cry by myself. It was like I could open up to people and share my story with people. And then I started reading. I would go to the library, and, again, the internet, wish there would have saved me hundreds of hours of my life. But I would go to the library and just read, what they had back then for self-help books, and, the Courage to Change books, and, from Al-Anon, and just anything I could get my hands on how to, how to ease anxiety, how to ease stress. Because in college I had bleeding ulcers. The stress was just eating me up, and I was, putting Band-Aids on everything. And I finally, I don't know, I got into some books where I don't even remember the exact titles, but it just started really kind of, now what we're kind of going back to is, it's your authentic self. You were so beaten down as a child. You need to go back, and you need to learn to love that child, that innocent, poor child that didn't do any of these things wrong, didn't cause any of these habits, didn't, make you develop these traits, and forgive yourself and forgive going forward. So it was a lot of just self-work. And now, now it's all the craze, and I'm like, wow, I wish this is so cool. It's now everybody, it's so easy to share these modalities of mindfulness and meditation and yoga. And, back then it wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't well known. So I think I've done everything, though. I've done therapy. I've done, tapping. I've done yoga. I've done meditation. I've done, oh, wow, just keep going, and I'm a habitual learner anyway. So I did go back, and I got, my master's certification in NLP, because I'm like, wow, the brain's amazing. And you could just talk to yourself differently and change years of thinking, So it's been a fun journey, but it's been a hard one for sure.
Healing is definitely not easy, and it is a lot of learning, but I commend you for trying a little bit of everything. What worked best for you, do you think? Was there like one thing that stands out?
I really think it was just the mindfulness of being here and just, I did have to go back. I did a lot of, inner child work and shadow work of going back and coming to peace with those things, not having to necessarily relive them, because I didn't want to have to relive every single traumatic incident, but just the mindfulness of, hey, it's me and I can control what I can control, and that's what I'm going to focus on.
Before we continue, I want to remind you that healing doesn't happen because you listen to one podcast episode. It happens because of what you choose to practice afterwards. That's exactly why I created Foundations of Healthy Relationships. Every week, we'll take one small step together, from recognizing unhealthy patterns to rebuilding confidence and learning what healthy love truly looks like. If you're ready for more than inspiration, if you're ready for transformation, I'd love to walk alongside you. Learn more by joining my exclusive Instagram community. The link is in the show notes.
I'm going to do whatever in my power it is to let go of the stuff I can't. I mean, it's made me happier. It's made me less reactive to things. I don't really stress out anymore, where I used to, I was so hyper vigilant on everything coming at me in different directions, that because I never knew what to expect. And now I'm kind of like, I know what to expect. I can see things coming at me. And I think it was just more mindfulness. I mean, therapy helped, a lot of talk therapy. And really the groups that I could get into, like whether it be the Al-Anon or the ACOA, it was just being able to talk to other people and hear what they're doing and trying different things. I think that's the biggest thing, is just having a group of support.
Awesome. What piece of advice would you give to survivors?
Find that group of support and know that no matter what, you didn't cause it. So let go of the guilt, let go of the shame. When you're people that are survivors, when you live your life in survival mode, I say desperate people do desperate things. I mean, I lied, I cheated, I stole, I robbed, I did what I had to do to survive. And, if you go through a 12-step program, you make amends to those people. And some of the things, like the forgiveness part, like there are some things that to me are not forgivable. Sexual abuse is not forgivable to me. So, but I'm at peace with the fact that it's not forgivable. So my best advice is to just understand that nothing you did was your fault, that you were born absolutely amazing, and it's your circumstances that beat you down. So you got to dig deep, 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 deep and find the real you that is lovable and messy and sloppy and imperfect, but yet perfect at the same time.
I love that. That's great advice. So how can people find you? So you are a best-selling author. Tell us about your book and then how people can work with you.
Okay, my book is called Surviving Alcoholic Parents: A Teen's Guide to Thriving in Chaos. So that is basically written for teens, but yet it's very basic, for basically anybody. All of my information can be found just on my website, which is just my name, tammyvincent.com. And I have seminars coming up. I have workshops. I do one-on-one coaching. I do have my book. I try to get that out and share that with as many people as possible, just because I think there's so many millions of people that need it right now. But that's it, really. Just my website is probably the best place to reach out, and people can reach out to me at any time. I love to be the mentor. I'm like the friend that everybody wanted when they were struggling.
That's awesome. Well, I'll put your website in the show notes so that people can access that. Thank you so much for being here, Tammy, and for feeling so comfortable sharing your stories with us. It's really, really helpful to hear what other people go through so that we can relate and know that we're not alone like you did in those groups. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, Marissa.
Oh my gosh, anytime. Remember, you deserve relationships built on respect, not fear, communication, not control, and peace, not confusion. Until next time, keep healing.